Hello, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the class of Organization Theory and Design. So today we are going to discuss a chapter, Organization Size, Life Cycle, and Decline. This chapter has been deduced from the book of Richard L. Daft and we are following the 12th edition. So let's start with the chapter. Okay. So the first topic and the first heading is organization size is bigger, better. So again, in this particular topic, we are going to discuss like what is the size of the matter, because as you all know, we are studying the क्या कहते हैं organizational size in terms of organization theory and design. जब से हमने ये कोर्स स्टार्ट किया in terms of theory and design, we have been discussing about different contexts about technology, environment, goals. We also discuss about the designing, functioning. So in this particular chapter, we are going to discuss size से क्या फर्क पड़ता है. Either it should be big, either it should be small. So what exactly are the impacts? Like starting with the pressure for growth. When it comes to the big organization, if we talk about the large organization, so definitely there would be much more impact on those organizations, because so many things are happening, because they are collaborating, they are expanding, they are diversifying their products and services into global markets. So again, there is a much more impact on them. Starting with, if we talk about on a global scale, either it's technology, either it's distribution, either it's access to the market, the pressure is very much high, because they need to stay economically healthy, in terms of more reliable, so that they can work on. In this, like if I recall in the book, they have given the example of Walmart. So like in Pakistan, if we talk about any of the supermarket, like giant supermarket, like we have Imtiaz or maybe Chase. So again, they also have because they are one of them in Karachi, particularly, they are like one of that who are working. And in terms of they are also expanding in terms of locally. So pressure is, but again, we could not compare them to Walmart. Then we have dilemmas, some where they are some dilemmas related to the large organizations. In terms of large organizations, definitely the risk would be much higher, as because they need to get into the business more quickly, and sometimes what happens that they could not cope up, they could not go with the needs of the market, so that happens that they get in a disaster as well. Also, their working and procedures are very standardized, mechanistics, and complex, because they have to follow that formalization, they have to follow the hierarchy, they have to follow all those procedures which we have covered in our previous topics about the span of control and the mechanistics approach. So as they are a large people, lot of number of people are involved in that, so they need to have उनको अपना एक बना के रखना है ताकि वो अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को सस्टेनेबल चला सके. As compared to the small size organizations, if we talk about small organizations में थोड़े से उनके जो problems हैं a little bit different है. They don't have to sorry, because उनके थोड़े से dynamics different in terms of they don't have that big global वाली चीजें responsibility, so they do have some types of flexibility in that. Also, it's a beautiful thing. Small is beautiful, but again, depends on the market you're working with. उसमें आपके क्या customer trends हैं, क्या shifting environmental या आपकी employee की commitments हैं. So again, you need to see exactly where you're working. आपकी organization जितना आजकल startups का जो culture है या entrepreneurship में हमारे पास different बिल्कुल जो small organizations हैं. So again, we need to see that how they are going to go and how they are going to compete with the big audience or the larger companies. So again, there are pros and cons to both the aspects. So either the organization should be bigger, it's better, or it's small, it's better. So in terms of if we say small organization does have kahin na kahin they have this flexibility, as you can see in the picture as well. They are responsive, but they are flexible. They have a regional reach. They are not global, but regionally they are spread out. The hierarchy is also flat structure, organic again. not that much like बहुत rigid, hard and fast rules नहीं होते. It's more simple. It's niche in terms of like what exactly you're focusing on. Like if I'm in the electronics industry or if I'm in the aviation industry, so my focus would be that. And then it's more into like entrepreneur, like thinking out of the box or doing something new, because whatever is happening around in the market, you can easily adapt to that. As compared to the large organization, it's का बिल्कुल ही opposite है. It's more big in scale, economy scale. You need to meet this. You need to reach to your global market. It's a vertical one, yeah, like vertical hierarchy, yeah, like different span of control. Your chain of command is there. It's more procedural, more structured. It's more complex. It's again when it's bigger, so you need to have the stability as well. So they are like more organizational man means like over there people stay longer, like till their retirement, one can serve in that particular organization. So that's the main difference between big and small. Then there are some stages, we can say, of life cycle development. Again, in terms of life cycle, depends on the organization that how they are going to start with. There are few stages of like the life cycle. Let's see the pictorial first, and then we are going to come back. So the first stage is entrepreneurial stage. That stage, if we start with our horizontal axis, the number one is, if we start with a small organization, size may, and then we'll lead towards the large. So entrepreneurial stage is basically when the stage is like when organizations are born, they are more focused on creating more products and services. They are also surviving the market. They are like trying what to do and not to do. They're also like putting their efforts in terms of technology, in terms of production, in terms of marketing, because they know they have to like work more harder. Also, they are spending more hours. They are like more controlled as well, because at this stage you are like putting your 100% so that you can sustain in the market. Then there is a phase that if there is some crisis, then they need to look for the leader in terms of like a leader who has the mindset to grow, a mindset who can like alter the problems and can come out of that. Also, like who can deal with all the management issues, who can work through all the crisis. So again, we need such a person who can be a visionary in terms of like leadership. So then we can survive in our entrepreneurial stage. The second one is collectivity stage. Now, the collectivity stage is basically in this the leadership crisis is resolved. The strong leadership is there. Organization is having a very clear goals and directions. Also, we have clear about the hierarchy, authority, what exactly needs to be done, what is the division of labor, how we have to work within the marketing. So again, everything is being there. So again, we are coping up with our stages of this collectivity. But what happens like sometimes in collectivity stage, we have seen that there could be a need for delegation as well if there is a crisis. So delegation. Now, what is delegation? A delegation is something if any new assignment like it has been, so you need to see that who has you has to like delegate that as task. Like for someone who in your team, you need to like have confidence in that person, and then you give that person that okay, fine, this is the thing maybe I could not do alone, so let's do it together. Collectively, we can grow in this particular stage. We can work together like a team, then we can thrive out from this particular stage as well. The next stage is called as formalization stage. Formalization stage is basically more into like now we are like in the market, we have some rules, procedures, some control system. We have other departments as well. Maybe the communication is much more formal because everybody is more aligned towards the strategy, the planning side, and we are improving our coordinations as well. So in this particular stage, we are controlled in our all the operations. But also we have seen there could be a crisis situation like too much of the red tape. Now, red tape means how to deal with such things. Again, coming to the point, if you feel like people are not working that much or organization is becoming very much bureaucratic in terms of like there are lots of restrictions, people are very formal in their program, they could not do anything. So again, people could have that particular approach that we could not work in this organization, it's very rigid or it's very rude. So again, you need to deal with such crisis because again, formal is there, but again, you need to see what exactly are the dynamics of the market as well. Then the next and the last stage of organization life cycle is elaboration stage. Now, elaboration stage is basically the solution of our, like जो हमने last time में बात किया अभी red tape crisis की. So again, इसमें हमारे पास we have like मैनेजर्स क्या करते हैं, दे डेवलप स्किल्स ताकि हम अपनी जितनी भी प्रॉब्लम्स को रिजॉल्व कर सकें, ओवरकम सकें. मे बी इसमें कहीं ना कहीं ब्यूरोक्रेसी का कुछ ना कुछ एलिमेंट ऐड हो चुका होता है, बिकॉज कहीं ना कहीं देयर इज कंट्रोल, देयर इज सेल्फ डिसिप्लिन, देयर इज हायरार्की, देयर आर फॉर्मलाइजेशन. बट to deal with all the things, we need to work in a collaboration, we need to work across the team so that everything can be function in a proper way. There are lots of example of companies who are like in this particular, like for example, Walmart could be one of the example, General Electric could be one of the examples. So again, these could be one of the examples. इसमें हमारे पास अगर कोई crisis situation आती है तो we need to revitalization. So again, we need to see, because हमारी organization इस time तक we have reached the maturity, so have to see कि what exactly needs to be done. हमें किस तरह से shift लेकर आनी है, हमें क्या चीज़ों को आगे से इसको बढ़ाना है, ताकि जो चीज़ हमारी स्लो डाउन हो गई है, जब बहुत ज़्यादा उसमें ब्यूरोक्रेसी का एलिमेंट ऐड हो गया है. सो अगेन व्हाट एग्जैक्टली नीड्स टू बी डन ताकि हम इसको ज़्यादा बेहतर स्ट्रीमलाइन कर सकें. सो अगेन it's with all the organization, either new or old, when there is like, when you have like spent a lot of time in the market, there are transitions from entrepreneurship to the last one, that is collaboration. So again, organization need to resolve their problems that are related to these, because then they can grow in the market as well in terms of their organization. Otherwise, they could not sustain in the market. Okay, then these are some of the organization characteristic during 4 life stages of life cycle जो भी हमने discuss किया. Let's start one by one. If we see the first one that is entrepreneurial. This one. Let me, okay, this one. This entrepreneurial, that is non-bureaucratic. This is the initial stage. So again, it is very informal, one person show, because again, you're starting the company, very small company. Maybe it's the structure and the control is very much there. You're already focusing on 1 or 2 products. So again, there should not be any hierarchy, or there should not be any politics in that. Also, it's like you are surviving in the market because you have just started with that. So again, this is the entrepreneur. The second one is your collectivity stage. Now, this is the growth stage, because somehow you are like in that particular mindset that you are seeing the growth, you're excited, you're committed to the organization mission, you're doing your best to do it. You have employees, managers. The focus is more into doing something for your organization. The third stage comes in formalization, which is more bureaucratic in terms of like formal rules, structures, span of control, hierarchy. You have specific line of controls. You are balance of like formal and informal talks. Maybe you have more groups as well. Internal stability is there. You are more focused on like expanding because you are growing and you are in the phase of market expansion as well. You try to delegate the control as well in terms of like you try to give the authority, but again within the time, within the your scope of work. The last one is elaboration. This is like the mature stage of the organization, in which you need to see that how you have to control those rules and regulations if you become very much bureaucratic. So bureaucracy should be one of the elements, but again, that should not overcome or become an obstacle for your organization systems and rules. So again, as organization, you need to see that what exactly needs to be done ताकि आप इन सब चीजों को avoid कर सकें. If I summarize this particular stages, so again, it means that throughout these stages, you need to have a control, you need to see your goals and innovations, but at the end of the day, whatever is happening, you need to have a positivity in mind that we as organization are growing. So from the starting to the end, we are moving in a positive direction. All right. Then comes in our all right, let me erase this one. Perfect. Right. Okay. Now what is bureaucracy? Because अभी हमने ऊपर थोड़ा सा bureaucracy को touch किया, but हमने उसको formally नहीं बताया. Bureaucracy is something I believe from being the management student, we all know Max Weber has given this concept of bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is basically, it can be a threat to your personal liberties because it's very much efficient in terms of your organizing, in terms of things, in terms of like everything is very much hard and fast rules, very routine manner, very much mechanistic in nature. But in terms of like It is one of the things that needs to be seen in terms of like what exactly needs to be done. If we see this particular figure over here. Okay, this one. So the Max Weber has given us some dimensions about the bureaucracy, in which, yes, bureaucracy is about rules and regulations. It is about being specialized, and division of labor is there, hierarchy is there. We have qualified personnel for each position and designations. We have a separate position for every position, like from separate position of position holder. So again, there is a manager, then assistant manager, or then deputy manager or officer level, whatever it is. So we need to follow the hierarchy. And then there are written communications and records. Everything is very systematic, and we need to keep align everything so that everything is done in a formal and a specialized way. Okay. Then comes in terms of this is your size and structural control. Now, as we are talking about the organization theory, organizations are being like designed in such a way that they need to have a structural design and the methods of control. Like if we discuss this thing in terms of like there's different dimensions, but there are few dimensions that needs to be there even from the first chapter of this particular course. We are discussing about what is formalization, what is centralization. But again, let's have a like review of what needs to be there. Now, formalization is basically rules, your procedures, your written documents like your manuals or your job descriptions or anything that is like written, so that you can keep a record, you can check that what exactly needs to be done, what are your SOPs. So it's like formally you're doing everything. Then centralization is basically that the level of hierarchy, the authority to make decision is centralizing the organization. Like from the top, it may be the decision are being given and they are being done. Centralized organizations have different like pros and cons again because everything is centralized till the time वो आपको इजाजत नहीं देते, you could not do anything. So again, you need to wait for their approval and then you can work on that. In terms of like decentralization is just the opposite of it. Then we have the last one, personal ratios. Now again, personal ratios is basically a characteristic in which we talk about administrative, clerical, and professional support staff. This is divided into two patterns. The first one is the जैसे जैसे आपकी टॉप मैनेजमेंट का रेशो स्मॉल होता रहता है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, इसी तरह आपका जो बाकियों का भी है रेशो इन टर्म्स ऑफ नंबर ऑफ एम्प्लॉयज डिक्रीज. और इसका एक और पैटर्न ये है कि जो आपका क्लैरिकल और प्रोफेशनल स्टाफ का रेशो भी कहीं ना कहीं दैट बिकम्स कंसर्निंग बिकॉज एज ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ग्रो आपका जो बाकी क्लैरिकल स्टाफ या बाकी लोगों का जो एक रेशो होता है ना दैट डिक्रीजेस. लेट मी शो यू अ फिगर दिस वन. सो वी हैव लाइन एम्प्लॉयज. यहाँ पे अगर हम परसेंटेज ऑफ एम्प्लॉयज देखें, सो एट द टाइम लाइक अगर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ग्रो करी है तो आपका जो टॉप एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव है, प्रोफेशनल स्टाफ आपका कहीं ना कहीं इट बिकमिंग लाइक लेस और क्लरिकल स्टाफ उससे ज़्यादा कम होना शुरू हो जाता है. सो अगेन एज योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ग्रो you need to see that how you're going to work on that because आपका प्रोफेशनल स्टाफ increases because of the greater need for specialized skills in larger organization. हो सकता है. अच्छा, अब डिपेंड करता है कि आपका नीश क्या है. हो सकता है जब आपकी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की बात करें तो प्रोफेशनल स्टाफ वहाँ पे बढ़ सकता है, हो सकता है टॉप मैनेजमेंट से ज़्यादा हो. अगेन डिपेंड करता है. अगर स्मॉल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन तो डेफिनेटली टॉप मैनेजमेंट अगर एक है तो प्रोफेशनल्स भी कम ही होंगे. तो इट्स वाइस वर्सा. So you need to see that how you are allocating this personal ratio in terms of your top management, professional, and your clerical staff. Okay. Now, this is something that is very interesting in terms of like what needs to be done in this bureaucracy of a changing world. Now, again, today, and if we talk about today's world, everything is being like changed in terms of like how we have to deal with the situation, what is happening around, what are the things we need to work on, because bureaucracy at one end could be a good factor because we can have a formal structure, hierarchy, rules, regulations, but sometimes it can be a problem or it can be a different thing as well. So again, we need to see the broader aspects like how you have to use or how you have to consider in your organization in terms of like you don't have to go with the over bureaucratic approach. You need to see how the things are happening, what organizations you are dealing with, what are the challenges you have to respond, what are the things in your environment or in your surrounding you are facing as a challenge. So again, to deal with, sometimes we have this particular structure of like inducting or having it, but mostly sometimes what we do, we organize or we are having temporary systems, like in terms of like some change comes in or problem comes in. So temporary structure we have been being formulated in the organization just to like prevent the crisis. Like for example, if there is an earthquake or there is some any other major destruction, or just COVID-19 hits was hit. So again, these were all the things that where organizations has to make some temporary possessions or structure that leads to like they will be catering those particular matters. So again, depend on the organizations and the need that what needs to be done in terms of bureaucracy. Now there are few approaches towards the bureaucracy in terms of like how you're going to work on them, how you're going to go along with them. Like just Google uses bullpen sessions every afternoon. Again, this is one of the approach Google is using, like in terms of like how they are interacting with employees, how they are considering the needs in terms of like how they have to work together, they have to grow together. Then small geographic based teams, again, if you are like at one place, you can have team meetings. Also, you can like increase the authority of the workers. You can increase professionalism of employees in attacking. Okay, could be one of the factor in terms of professionalism, if they're becoming very much professional in terms of like how you have to deal with that. इस तरह हमने एक professionalism को हम जिसमें define करते हैं like a formal training and experience of the employees when they become more professional. So how you are going to merge them, how you're going to work them. So again, uh, the attitude also matters a lot, that how you have to work along with the business and how you have to like think. So again, everything goes hand in hand. You need to be or create a structure that is good for everyone. Okay. Now there are three organizational control strategies, or we can call them as bureaucracy versus other forms of control. The number one is bureaucracy, as the word says, it is bureaucratic, rule, standard, hierarchy, authority. There is another thing in terms of this particular control that is called as market control. Now, market control is basically where the price competition is used to evaluate the output and productivity of the organization. It is like basically you have to see that what is the most efficient, what are the prices, what are the competitions, and accordingly you will be uh, working on it. Either it's like for the organization or it's something related to one of the product or services. So again, according to the market needs, you need to see that how you are going to control the things. Either there is a monopoly, there is a lot of competition. So depending on the need, depending on your that market control, you take the charge. The last one is clan control. Now, clan means, again, this is one of the concept about you have shared values, you have commitment, traditions, beliefs to control things. Organization use this particular control when they are like they see there is high ambiguity and uncertainty in terms of like the culture or something is happening around, or people are not following the rules and regulations. So then they come like, this is our core value, these are the trust, this is like our tradition. So again, they try to control the organization's environment. So again, depending on the organization need, you need to see either you're going to go with the bureaucratic nature, either you have to market control, or you need to have the plan control. Okay. Now, this is one of the example of some rules at a yacht club. Now, these are the like some written and formal procedural rules that what exactly needs to be done. So again, like in the universities, we have some decorum, we have some code of conduct, we have some dressing policies. So this is something that is also like more formal in nature. Okay. This is something that is like when we are talking about the organizational theory and design, this is one of the topics that needs to be there in that organizational life cycle. Either organization when they start like from the entrepreneurial stage, when they are born and getting older and eventually they die, or they are like out from the market. So again, you need to see what exactly needs to be done in terms of decline and downsizing. Decline is like when your life cycle is at the last stage, and downsizing like you are laying off your employees, might be because of the situation, might be just, the best example was COVID-19, because so many industries has to shut down. So they have like laid off thousands of employees from their organization because they could not survive. They could not meet all the expenses of their employees. So again, you need to see what needs to be done. So in terms of organizational decline, there are three basic major factors that are considered to cause the organizational decline. Number one is organizational ato- atrophy. Organizational atrophy is basically when organization grow old and become insufficient and over bureaucratized. So what happens that it could not survive in the market. It could not survive in all the things like organizational has to go with all the practice and structure, and they could not work along because there are lots of problem in terms of like lack of communication, coordination, because everything is becoming insufficient and you'll be like, okay, fine, मैं ये भी नहीं करूंगा, ये भी नहीं करूंगा. So that's why this is one of the reason organization decline. Second one is your vulnerability. Now, what is vulnerability? Reflects that organization is unable to grow in the market. Either the organization are small, or either they are not that much fully functional, or they could not cope up with their environment, or sometimes it happens that they could not sustain. They don't have the correct strategy, what to do, how to fit in the market. So this is one of the reason. The last reason is sometimes environmental decline on or competition. So again, when whatever market you are in terms of your organization where you are working. So you need to see that how the things are going around. In terms of Pakistan, if we talk about right now, it's a lot of inflation. The prices are like very, very high. People don't have the purchasing power. So again, definitely if a new come or new startup comes in or new organizations are there, they could not like we have seen in the past couple of years or even couple of months, so many organizations like Airlift, like Swale, like Card First, they've all closed down their startup because they could not survive in the market. So again, this is something that needs to be there, even in terms of like organization, those who were in the market from like long, long years, they also could not sustain, and this is one of the reason of the decline as well. Okay, now these are few of the stages of decline stages. Number one, if we talk about starting with the one is blinded stage. Now, the blinded stage is basically the stage of decline is from the internal and external change that will threaten the long-term survival. So organizations definitely इसमें वहाँ पे कहीं ना कहीं they could not succeed. इसमें there are lots of reasons, maybe the procedures, lack of harmony, the leaders could not like give effective control, they could not work all together, they could not execute the things properly. So again, this is one of the stage. So information was not spread properly. The second stage is inaction stage. The inaction stage is basically where the denial comes in terms of like the poor performance. Leaders are not working well. They are saying, okay, fine, we'll do it. Keep on the good work, this and that. But they are not acknowledging that they are going towards a decline. They are not working towards one goal, or they are maybe the customers, maybe the rest things are not in their favor. The third stage is faulty action stage. Now, in this stage, organization is facing serious problems, and the indicators point out that organization is going to fail. Leaders also like having swayed circumstances. They could not work with all the employees, so they like maybe have down. They need to reduce in terms of like downsize their employees as well. They need to see what exactly needs to work to make them turn around. Otherwise, definitely they are going to decline. Then the fourth stage comes in, that is the crisis stage. Now the crisis has come in how to deal with the decline of activity, because now there is a panic in the organization that everybody know that we are going to down. There is no solution. There is nothing is doing. Whatever we are implementing, everything is going down the lane. So again, they are in that particular moment. The last one is the dissolution state. Now they have to dissolve the thing because this is like the decline stage. They are suffering loss of market reputation. Everything is being finished. Their capital, their available resources, the strategy they could not work in. So again, it's like to that particular stage there is no choices, and then you need to shut down your organization. So it's like the last stage of your this particular survival. All right. So now these are few of the things, because as if I'm like if I am associated with an any organization, and when there is downsizing going on, I need to see that what exactly needs to be done to cater my employees that they might go with ease and they leave with a good note. So have to communicate more not less, because I need to keep them in loop that what is happening, what is we could not survive in the market, or what are the things they need to search for the alternative. They need to establish what exactly are the future. Like I remember, I from my own personal story that one of my as my one of the cousin worked with the Israel. He was like told one before that the company is about to shut. Kindly start looking for other job. Even their HR department helped them out and looking or posting their resumes here and there. So again, this is one of the thing organizations should do if they could not survive in the market. They should also provide assistance. Again, this is the high time for your employees that they are going to lose a job, how they are going to survive in the thing. They have to have some help. So when they are like dislocating, though, sometimes usually what I have seen, there's good organizations do help their employees so that they can easily work out, and then they like use their references so their employees can work somewhere else. Last thing is like, now this is like help the survivors thrive. Now this is something that layoff survivor syndrome, if we talk about that, people have experiencing guilt, anger, confusion. They're also sad because they are like leaving the organization is shutting down. They're like attached to that organization. So again, it's really difficult to cope up in that particular thing, to look around and accept any other job. So this is like a phase of your life. You have to see that what exactly needs to be done and how to cope up that particular moment and that particular thing. Okay, now in this particular chapter, we have like gone through few of the topic that was about organization experience pressures that was the first one. Then the life cycles, then larger organizations usually adapt or adopt bureaucratic characteristics. Bureaucracy is one of the things because they are more mechanistic in nature. Every organization requires control because without control, they could not work in. We need to have a check and balance. It's like you trust your employees, that's one thing, but yes, control is there. So organization may experience decline, yes, at any stage. There comes a stage like when your organization is thriving and could not go along. So there would be a stage that they will be getting affected. That's it from this chapter. If you have any questions, if you have anything, you can get back to me. And thank you so much. Take care. Dafis.